Here we go then. This is the first one.
Oh. The inside looks like custard cream.
Well, it wouldn't look like that because it's not quite all together there.
Ooh. Wow. It's just a mine.
You can move your chair, Chester.
Chester can't move his chest yet.
Sit down. Stand up.
There you go, Alexis. Oh, look at that there.
Oh, it smells good.
There we go.
I didn't know you can make this all by yourself, Daddy.
Well, a lot of people don't know that, Chester. There you go. And you've got to give it marks out of 10 when you've tasted it.
I didn't even taste it.
Use a spoon.
Use your spoon.
Look at that. Crunch straight through like that.
Holy moly. I'll give it 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. On Alexis, and what do you reckon, Chester?
A 100 out of 100.
100 out of 100. Well, that's a successful day's baking. Very good.
I got a trillion out of a trillion.
That's it. I don't know how to stop.
I need to eat a marshmallow bit.
Good morning. Today we're just going to do some tarts. The kids have asked me to do them for them. So it's quite a simple process. Mum's recipes, not difficult to do, even I can do it. So, I've measured out all the things that we need: flour, the ice and sugar, split the eggs into yolks and whites. So firstly I've put a spoonful of salt in there. I'll quickly sieve that through. There's no problem with that. That's in there now. Same with the ice and sugar. Chuck it all in. No frills, no spills. Ice and sugar is a little bit more lumpy because it relies on being super dry. And so just take a bit of time to get that through. Now this is all about speed now. Some people don't bother putting eggs in, but as a family we always have done. But we've got to get them in quick. I'll quickly whisk them up, and then they go. Just wash the eggs in there. Just mix them round. Like so. Already they've started to crumble, which is good. I've got a little bit of liquid here just to put in. You can top up the liquid with some milk later on, or water if you don't want to make it really flavoursome. It's just a teaspoonful. Little measuring machine here. Vanilla. I'm not one for doing it really, but she says it always has a bit of a finer flavour. So let's get on. The one item I haven't put in yet is the butter, and there's a reason for that. I've got to keep it as cool as possible and then get it into the mix as quick as possible, and then put the mix straight in the fridge. So I'm going to get them now. It's just a little over half flour to butter, so it's 200. I think it's 115 butter. Now, if you have a food processor, which we don't have, you zap that through there a bit rapid, trying to keep it warm, and I've got to go back to the old hands, get it in there quick, crush it up, and make almost like a crumble mix. That's everything in there now. It's starting to break up straight away, which is good. But the idea is to keep it as cool as possible to get the greatest results. As soon as I've done this, I'll add a little bit of milk maybe. It's needed. Normally 2 egg yolks need a little bit just to bind it. And then that'll be ready to almost pat into a decent block and then stick it in the fridge, because as you know, kitchens get a bit hot. While I'm doing that, I can do some other things, so it's not really time wasted. The boys have asked me or requested 2 different sorts of fillings. So one was a cherry pie or cherry tartlet. The other one's gone for his favourite, which is lemon curd. So we might, with the eggs that we've got left over, the egg whites, attempt to make a lemon meringue for him. I've got to clear out to make them, so that'll be a later addition after we've mixed this up. As you can see, it's already starting to crumble up. And that's about as close as we need it for now. You can sort of squeeze it, almost squeeze it together. So a tiniest little bit of milk, just as a binding agent, or cold water if you prefer. The milk just enhances the flavour of it, makes it a bit more sweet. And this is the sweet short crust pastry we're making. So just a little bit at a time. And the milk's ice cold, so it's going to be handy. Just a tiny little amount. Just to help bind it all together. I can already feel the temperature drop from the milk. And you can push this all together into a block without it being too wet. There's a good indication that the mix is even. I'm just sort of squeezing it now together. And we can plot that onto the slightly clean but slightly covered table with a bit of flour on it, just to suck up any moisture that might be left. I think try to avoid to get both hands covered, but needs must. So there you go, onto the table. Take a little picture of that. You can see it's okay. So this has been in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Not enough really, but it is colder. So I'm going to avoid touching it as much as possible and get it into a thickness that will allow us to cut it out. Tartlets. Some people do this on baking paper. I'm an old-fashioned believer of just a bit of flour to stop it sticking onto the work surface. So anytime it looks like it's going to stick, just lightly powder both sides. Doesn't need much. And roll it out. That's one way and then the other. Trying to figure out roughly how much you're going to need, how thin you want to get it for the surface, not to be too difficult to eat, but remembering all the time that the clock's ticking and this is getting warmer and warmer and warmer, which is something you don't want. I'm just going to quickly do a measure 1, 2, 3. So not quite wide enough to get the 4 out yet. I'm only hoping it hasn't stuck to the bottom because that would be ghastly. Quick measure. 1, 2, 3, maybe just a little bit more at the bottom. That should do it. Now just to preempting it sticking is to pick it up gently. Already I can feel the pastry collapsing. It's so short. That could be disaster in the making if I don't touch the thing just a little bit before cutting out. So maybe the parchment was a good idea after all. Right, some non-stick trays. I'm literally going to place my template and cut round it. Hopefully it'll lift out and go straight in. It's very, very delicate, this pastry. There's the first one. Lay it straight in the mould. Some people use a bit of spare pastry to push it into the edge just to protect it even more from the heat of your hand. Here's number 2. Wasting as little as possible, but you could get into the mistake of making it too thick, so all that to one side. Kids normally play with that and make various little things with them. There's our second one. Slightest bit there, and it doesn't want to come out. Hanging on for dear life. Put one in. Here goes my second. Just slightly bigger because it will shrink back a little bit. You can see. The second one. Third, right up to the edge, but not over the edge. I just imagine it probably would cut it out. If you had a jar or something, or large glass, it would be much more simple just to cut it all the way out, but I'm going to make do with what we've got. Here's number 3 already. Oh, this one doesn't want to come out. It's got a crack in the bottom, so I might have to push that in and do an immediate repair job on that as it goes in. The temperature in the kitchen on a Sunday is always a bit too high to do this sort of work, and it's not the best, but it's in there. It's not there to win any awards, it's just there to look good. This one's going to have to extend a little bit, so let's see if we can. Just extend it a little bit. I still managed to get it off of the table afterwards. Oh, that's a much better way of doing it. Just using the template to cut it off, although they look good. This one's going to have to extend a little bit, so let's see if we can. Just extend it a little bit. I still managed to get it off of the table afterwards. Oh, that's a much better way of doing it. Just using the template to cut it off, although the problems we have there are easy to see. It just wants to stick to the bottom. Blind baking is the way to go, but unfortunately we haven't got anything to blind bake with. Some people used to use dried beans or things like that, and a bit of parchment. But we were lucky, we haven't got that sort of thing, so I've even seen people wash pebbles on the beach and use those time and time again. Good idea. Well, there they are. Not going to win any awards for looks, but let's whack them straight in the oven and see what happens. There we go. Middle shelf, 160 for about 15 minutes. And that's perfect. This other pastry can be used at a large another time.
Hello.
So, see you back in 15 minutes.